The sound of thunder drowned her scream. Anna hit the floor hard, one hand clutched around her stomach, the other pressing against cold tile as the door slammed behind him. 6 months pregnant, gasping for breath, she realized the man she trusted most had just crossed a line that could never be forgiven. Outside, the city roared with rain. Inside, silence, the kind that follows betrayal too deep for words. But as her heart steadied and the baby's faint kick reminded her she wasn't alone, a colder truth surfaced. He thought she was weak. He thought she was just another woman he could control. He had no idea she owned the very company signing his $50 billion deal. Anna Lewis thought she understood strength. She had spent years running companies, signing contracts, and steering men twice her age through boardrooms lined with glass and ego. Yet none of that power prepared her for the night she found herself on the kitchen floor, breathless, one hand around her stomach, the other pressed against cold tile. It wasn't supposed to be like this. She was 6 months pregnant, carrying a child she'd once believed would anchor a marriage built on love. Now all she could feel was the sharp pulse of fear and the echo of a slammed door. When the pain eased enough to think, Anna reached for her phone and called Claire, her assistant, her secret shield. Within an hour, the flashing lights of an ambulance painted her apartment walls red and white. In the hospital, she learned that the baby was still safe, heartbeat steady, stronger than her own. Lucky, they called her. She didn't feel lucky. While the nurses whispered in hallways and filled out reports, Anna stared at the ceiling and remembered every moment that led her here. The charm, the promises, the way Ryan Cole had swept into her life 2 years earlier like the answer to a question she hadn't known she was asking. He was a rising executive in a construction tech firm, ambitious, magnetic, full of plans. He said he wanted to build a future with her. She had believed him. He never knew she already owned one. Behind her quiet grace was a legacy no one saw. Her father had founded Horizon Construct, the largest privately held infrastructure company in North America. Before his passing, he transferred control to her through layers of trusts and silent partnerships, teaching her the art of invisibility. Real power doesn't need to announce itself. So she'd kept her last name low profile, invested under initials, attended meetings as consultant AL instead of CEO Anna Lewis. Even Ryan didn't know. She wanted to be loved for herself, not her balance sheet. Now, bruised but unbroken, she realized her father's lesson wasn't about humility. It was about patience. The next morning sunlight cut through the blinds, sharp and clear. Anna sat up, the hospital bracelet loose around her wrist, and opened her laptop. She didn't cry, she calculated. There was a contract, one Ryan had bragged about for weeks, a $50 billion public-private partnership that would make him a legend in his field. Horizon Construct was the principal signatory on the deal. And she was Horizon Construct. He was preparing to stand in front of television cameras and shake hands with a board he believed he'd finally impressed. He had no idea the board belonged to her. Anna closed the laptop, exhaled slowly, and called Claire. "Reschedule the signing," she said. "Same day, new venue, private boardroom. Tell legal to route all communications through me." When she ended the call, she rested her hand on her stomach. The baby kicked, a small, defiant reminder that life keeps moving even when hearts break. That evening she returned home. The apartment was quiet except for the hum of the city beyond the windows. Ryan's things were still everywhere, his cufflinks, his cologne, his ego printed on every surface. She didn't touch any of it. She simply walked through the space, memorizing what weakness looked like, then opened the window to let the wind wash the smell of him away. Across town, Ryan celebrated in a penthouse bar, unaware that his empire stood on foundations she owned. He boasted to friends about the deal, about how the big players at Horizon were finally taking him seriously. Someone asked how he'd managed to win such a massive contract. He smirked. "Charm," he said. "And timing." Timing, yes. He had that part right. At midnight, Anna drafted one more message, this time to Horizon's legal counsel. "Confirm full transfer of negotiation rights to the silent chair effective immediately. All media coordination to be cleared by me directly." She signed it with her father's old seal, a single silver H. Then she leaned back and allowed herself the smallest smile. The world would soon learn that patience isn't weakness, and kindness isn't submission. It's calculation. When the contract signing day arrived, Ryan Cole would stand before cameras, confident, ready to claim his victory. And standing just behind the curtain, calm and silent, would be the woman he had underestimated, the owner of everything he thought he controlled. For now, she waited. Not for revenge, but for precision. Because the best retribution doesn't shout. It signs its name quietly on the bottom line. 3 weeks after the hospital, Manhattan looked different to Anna. The same skyline that once felt suffocating now shimmered like a chessboard, every building another move waiting to be made. She no longer felt like a pawn. At Horizon Construct headquarters, no one whispered her name. To most employees she was still Elle, the quiet consultant who attended strategy meetings through video calls and left no trace on public filings. The executives who actually knew the truth treated her with the reverence one gives to a storm on the horizon. Calm for now, but impossible to ignore. The $50 billion deal that Ryan bragged about was almost ready to sign. It was meant to merge his mid-sized firm, Cole Urban Systems, with Horizon's global infrastructure arm. For him it was everything: fame, money, redemption. For her it was theater. She spent mornings in her office reviewing clauses that her lawyers rewrote overnight. Every line was a tripwire, designed to expose arrogance. Ryan had insisted on personally negotiating final adjustments, unaware that the quiet woman in the corner seat on the other side of the table owned the contract he was so desperate to close. He'd never met Anna in this role. At meetings she used a different name, Ms. Lane. A sleek black suit, hair pinned high, tone professional but cold. The disguise wasn't dramatic, just enough to keep his ego blind. He shook her hand twice and never looked long enough to recognize her eyes. From across the polished table she studied him, the same easy grin, the same rehearsed charm. If he noticed anything familiar in her voice, he ignored it, too busy performing. Every sentence he spoke dripped with confidence, every compliment aimed at the Horizon executive team, the invisible giants he hoped would make him a king. After the session, Anna stepped into the elevator with Claire. "He didn't recognize you," Claire whispered. "People rarely look closely at the ones they think they own," Anna replied. Back in her private office, she opened her father's old briefcase. Inside lay the original Horizon Charter signed decades ago with a fountain pen that still carried his initials. She traced the letters and remembered his advice: when you build something strong, never shout about it. Let others mistake silence for absence. She smiled. That silence was about to speak louder than any press conference. The following week, Ryan's company held a celebration dinner ahead of the contract announcement. Photos hit social media, Ryan in a tailored tuxedo, glass raised, captioned "To the future." Anna scrolled through the posts without emotion. She wasn't angry anymore. The hurt had calcified into focus. That night she emailed Horizon's communications head. Replace public signatory from Ryan Cole to Horizon Holdings representative. Remove his firm's branding from the stage layout. Confidential adjustment. Do not circulate. The next morning Ryan's assistant sent a frantic message to his office. The event coordinator needed approval for new branding details. He waved it off, assuming it was minor logistics. The arrogance was almost poetic. As the day of the signing drew near, reporters buzzed about the mysterious woman rumored to represent Horizon Holdings. No one could find her biography, no LinkedIn, no photo, just initials on corporate documents. Online threads speculated she might be the daughter of the late founder. They weren't wrong. Ryan ignored the chatter, too focused on the spotlight waiting for him. He didn't notice that every step he took toward the podium was one she'd built for him. On the morning of the event, Anna stood by the window of the top-floor suite, watching crews set up banners across the plaza below. Her reflection overlapped the skyline, half shadow, half light. Somewhere in that reflection was the woman who had once cried over love, and beside her was the woman who now commanded silence and steel. The contract would be signed in less than 24 hours. He thought it would mark the start of his empire. She knew it would mark the end of his illusion. She placed her hand gently on her stomach, feeling the soft rhythm within. "This," she whispered, "is for both of us." The ballroom shimmered with glass and gold, every chandelier a promise of success. Cameras flashed. Executives murmured. Ryan Cole stood at the center of it all, basking in the light he believed he'd earned. He was flawless, hair slicked back, smile rehearsed, confidence radiating like heat. This was his moment. His redemption. His victory. In less than an hour, he would sign a $50 billion contract and become a household name in the corporate world. He adjusted his cufflinks, the ones engraved with his initials, and whispered to a nearby journalist, "They'll be printing my name next to the big boys after today." Across the room, Anna watched silently. To everyone else, she was Ms. Lane, the mysterious Horizon executive rumored to be representing the conglomerate's board. To him, she was invisible. That was the beauty of arrogance. It blinds before it destroys. As the signing ceremony began, the company's spokesperson read through introductions, praising Ryan's visionary leadership and bold strategies. The room filled with applause, and Ryan soaked it in like oxygen. Then came the twist he never saw coming. "Before we proceed," the spokesperson said, "we'd like to acknowledge the presence of our chair of silent partners, the true owner and architect behind Horizon Construct." A hush fell. The double doors at the back of the ballroom opened. Anna stepped forward. She wasn't in disguise now. No glasses. No neutral tones. Just calm confidence wrapped in a black suit that spoke louder than words. The cameras turned instantly, reporters whispering, "Who is she?" Ryan's smile froze. The spokesperson continued, "It's our honor to introduce Ms. Anna Lewis, the sole heir and majority owner of Horizon Construct." The color drained from Ryan's face. He stumbled to his feet, trying to process what he was hearing. Anna reached the podium, took the pen, and signed the final page, her company's name right above his. Then she looked at him, her expression unreadable. "This contract," she said, her voice steady, "marks a new beginning for Horizon Construct. We believe in building with integrity, because without it, even the strongest structures collapse." The cameras captured every word. Ryan tried to speak, but the microphones caught only stammers. Within minutes, the headlines changed. Hidden billionaire revealed as pregnant CEO behind $50 billion deal. Ryan Cole's company acquired amid corporate scandal. The very stage he'd built for his triumph became the floor of his undoing. Hours later, he sat in his car outside the venue, staring at the contract. His company, his career, everything, now belonged to her. Meanwhile, Anna stood on her balcony overlooking the city lights. No anger. No satisfaction. Just peace. The storm had passed, and for the first time in months, she felt free. By morning, the story had already gone viral. Headlines blazed across every major outlet. Pregnant CEO stuns Wall Street, secret owner of $50 billion conglomerate revealed. He thought she was just his girlfriend. She owned the company. Clips from the signing ceremony flooded social media. The moment Anna stepped out of the shadows played on every news channel, every phone screen, every timeline. Her calm voice, her poised expression, her single line about integrity, it all became a symbol. Within hours, millions of comments poured in. "She's the definition of karma." He kicked away his future, literally. Power. Grace. Revenge. Anna didn't watch the coverage. She didn't need to. She already knew what power looked like, and it wasn't the noise outside. It was the silence inside. Across the city, Ryan's world collapsed. Investors withdrew, partners demanded explanations, and his board resigned within days. The man who once bragged about charm and timing now faced bankruptcy and humiliation. But even as his empire fell, Anna didn't gloat. She didn't send messages or make statements. She simply kept moving. Her focus was no longer on revenge, it was on redemption. At Horizon's headquarters, employees gathered in hushed awe as Anna walked through the glass doors for the first time under her real name. No aliases, no initials, just Anna Lewis, the rightful CEO. She paused in the lobby where her father's portrait hung. Beneath it, engraved in brass, were his words. "Build things that outlast anger." And she finally understood. This was never about teaching Ryan a lesson. It was about remembering who she was and who she was never supposed to become. That afternoon, she called a press conference. Cameras lined the hall. Reporters expected fire, revenge quotes, harsh takedowns, maybe even tears. Instead, Anna spoke softly. "I didn't build Horizon to destroy anyone," she said. "I built it to create something lasting, something honest. Power isn't about control. It's about responsibility. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is let truth speak for itself." Her words rippled through the room, quieting even the clicking cameras. When it ended, a journalist called out, "Do you forgive him?" Anna hesitated, not because she didn't know the answer, but because forgiveness was no longer about him. "I forgive the version of him I thought existed," she said at last. "And the version of me that let it happen." The next day, a photo circled the internet, Anna standing on a construction site, hard hat resting against her stomach, her hand cradling her unborn child. The caption read, "The woman who built her own justice." And beneath it, thousands of comments echoed one line, "Strength looks like her." A month later, the city had moved on. The headlines faded, the gossip quieted, but the lesson lingered like the echo of thunder after a storm. Anna hadn't seen Ryan since the contract signing. He'd vanished from the circles that once worshipped him, living somewhere between shame and silence. Yet one evening, as she left Horizon Tower, she found him waiting near the curb. He looked smaller somehow, the shine gone from his suit, the confidence stripped away. "I needed to see you," he said. She didn't answer, only folded her coat tighter against the wind. "I lost everything," he continued. "The company, the money, my reputation. But what hurts most is knowing I did it to myself." Anna studied him quietly. For a long time, she had rehearsed what she'd say if this moment came. She thought she'd feel satisfaction. But standing there, she felt only calm. "You didn't lose everything," she said softly. "You still have the chance to be better than the man you were." He looked at her, eyes wet. "Do you forgive me?" Anna hesitated, then nodded once. "I already did. Because forgiveness isn't for you, Ryan. It's for me, for our child, for peace." He opened his mouth to speak, but she'd already turned toward the waiting car. "Goodbye, Ryan," she said. "Take care of the man you still have time to become." As she drove away, the skyline glowed against the dusk, a city built on steel, mistakes, and second chances. Back home, she stood by the window and rested a hand on her stomach. The baby kicked, and for the first time she smiled without pain. She had turned betrayal into power, power into peace. That night she wrote a short post on Horizon's page. "You can't choose how others treat you, but you can choose what you build from it. Strength isn't in revenge, it's in rising quietly and never forgetting your worth." The post went viral overnight. Thousands of comments flooded in, people sharing their own stories of heartbreak, survival, and silent comebacks. And maybe that's why stories like Anna's matter. Because everyone, somewhere, has been underestimated. Everyone's been hurt by someone who thought they were powerless. And everyone dreams of that moment when the truth finally stands tall and says, "You were wrong about me." So tell me, what would you have done if you were Anna? Would you have forgiven him, or walked away without a word? Comment Bilo? Let's talk about it. If you believe that real karma doesn't shout, it signs its name quietly, hit like, share this story, and subscribe for more powerful tales of love, betrayal, and redemption. Because sometimes, the quietest voices tell the loudest stories.